I'm your host, Tamika Carpenter Carlson, here with another episode. So if you're new, say new. And if you're not, just say I am not a newcomer. So for all of you who don't know who I am, I'm Tamika Carpenter Carlson. They call me Miss Organization. I'm your launch strategist, your expert OBM. I'm your collaborator, reinforcement, supporter, listening ear for busy entrepreneurs escaping burnout to automate, launch, and scale their business while working less. Today, we're going to talk about why kiss balance goodbye this new year. And I think that's so super important because a lot of times when the new year comes, we're putting all these new year resolutions in place, and half of the time we don't even follow them, right? Or either we say, oh, I'm going to do this for the new year, oh, I'm going to do that for the new year, and you do absolutely none of it, right? So for me, I said, I'm not making any New Year's revelations for the new year, right? Because I know at the end of the day, life happens, anything can happen, right? So I said, okay, let me kiss balance goodbye because we try to balance everything. We try to make sure that everything is in alignment. And the truth of the matter is, we can't, right? Life is not in alignment. We could have a totally great plan and something messes that up, right? So, for anybody who's out there listening on a replay or who's watching live, if you ever said to yourself, I need balance in my life, put balance in the chat, right? Or put balance underneath, right? And let me know why you felt that you needed balance, right? What did it do for you? We're going to talk about make sure that you have a plan, right? Every time we turn around, we always sometimes throw spaghetti at the wall, right? We try to figure out what am I going to do today? What am I going to do tomorrow? Or we live life like there's like no direction, right? And the reality of it is, guess what? You don't necessarily have to feel like that you got to do everything right, right? And then the good thing about having a plan in place is when you have a solid plan, you know based on your plan what you didn't accomplish, right? Or what you executed. And based on what you executed and based on what you didn't execute, guess what? You can change that for either future launches, future programs, services, or things that you offer to people because now you know what didn't work and what did work. When you don't have a plan, a lot of times what happens is chaos happens, life happens, and guess what? The best thing about it is that when chaos happens, life happens, there's no plan, we try to figure out a way to bounce back, right? And a lot of times we don't know how to bounce back because we don't have a plan in place. When you have a plan in place, it's easy for you to bounce back because you could just go back to your plan and say, what did I accomplish off of this plan? Or what did I not accomplish off this plan? And you could say to yourself, why did I even put this plan in place, right? When you start to figure out why you put a plan in place, that's the best thing, right? Because every plan is for a reason. If you just make plans just because, the reality of it is this, you have no clue what it is to either be an entrepreneur, a business owner, or just, a person who wants to succeed in life, right? Because the reality of it is when you try to fly by night or you try to figure things out piece by piece, here by here, a lot of times you don't get any further. So that's why the live is kiss balance goodbye. Because you'll never be able to balance anything in your life because life has distractions that get thrown at you. Life has good times, bad times, they have some of everything, right? So when you try to balance sometimes the good versus the bad or the bad with the good, sometimes that never happens, right? Because our blueprint is already written for us, right? Our blueprint is already thrown out there. So we don't know what direction our blueprint is going. We don't know what direction our life is going. Yes, we can dictate the things that happen within it. We can dictate the things that we do. We can dictate like our revenue levels. We can dictate what job, what career, what we're going to do with our life, if we're going to have kids, if we're not going to have kids. We can dictate those things, right? But when you become at a certain level and you start to say to myself, I used to, or you might have used to say, right, I'm trying to balance everything. I'm trying to balance being a mother. I'm trying to balance being an entrepreneur. I'm trying to balance being, a daughter. I'm trying to balance so many things. And your plate is full. And when your plate is super, super full, you have no room left on your plate, right? Just like, for example, on Thanksgiving, right? Everybody can't wait for Thanksgiving because you got all the good food that you've been waiting to eat, your cheat meals, everything. But you still have stuff on your plate because you have nowhere else to put it. That's the same thing as, your life, your business. You have a lot of things on your plate, but you have no place to put them, right? So the fact that you have no place to put them and the fact that you don't know what to do with them causes your business sometimes to lack systems, lack the automation it needs, lack the proper launches, lack not having consistent revenue, right? That's why you have to make sure you definitely have a plan in place. And if you don't, that's okay. Create one, right? It could be a simple plan is I need to figure out my ideas. I need to figure out my goals, my dreams, what I want to do, how far I want to go, right? It could be simple, right? The main thing is have your plans, have 3 plans, right? Have a goal plan, have a revenue plan, and also have an actionable plan that you're going to do. Because when you have those items in place, guess what? Now you have a solid plan that you can actually have an action that you're going to do. You have a goal, a revenue goal that you want to meet, but you also have an idea of what you need to do to get there. And that's the key part. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk more about kissing balance goodbye in the new year. Welcome back, welcome back. If you're just tuning in, we've been talking about kissing balance goodbye this new year, right? We've been talking about make sure that you have a plan, and now we're going to talk about get rid of the negative distractions. That's a big one because a lot of times we let negative distractions overcome us. That could be being in a relationship that's distraction. That could be, having mental blocks. That could be a lot of things. And when you say to yourself, like, okay, you want to do something for the new year, right? Or you want to do something different than you've done months, years ago, right? You want to make an impact, right? And you can't really make an impact if you have so many negative distractions. And when you put more negative stuff on your plate, the reality of it is, guess what? There's no room for anything positive, right? So we have to change the direction that we're moving in and focus on the positive distractions or the positive things that are out there. Because when you start to think negative happens. When you start to let the negative distractions happen, because that's life, there's always going to be something negative that transpires in your life. It doesn't matter where you are in your life. You could be phenomenal at what you do. You could be an expert at what you do, right? You could be making the money that you want, have the career that you want, the family you want, whatever it is. You're going to always have negative stuff that happens. And they're going to come in your life when you're starting to pick up, you're starting to improve, you're starting to see movement, shifts, good things, improvements, right? And then all of a sudden, here comes a negative distraction. So it's kind of like, do you realize that it's a negative distraction? Do you see it's a negative distraction? And what do you do about it? A lot of times we see negative distractions and we feed into it, we play on it. And that sideswipes us from our actual initial goal, right? And when it sideswipes you from your initial goal, the reality of it is, guess what? Now you have this negative distraction that threw you off track, threw you off your game, and now you got to go back to square one. And when you go back to square one, now it's like you have to figure everything out, not realizing that you already had a plan in place that you just totally wiped away because you had this distraction. And now it's kind of like, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? I'm here to tell you that get rid of any negative thoughts you have, any negative distraction, and even any negative people that you have in your life as well, because those are distractions. Negative people are distractions, right? Sometimes we have friends around us, sometimes we have peers around us, co-workers around us, whoever it is, right? Family, whoever. They don't want to see you excel. They don't want to see you succeed, right? And they're going to throw anything in the game to throw you off track. But you have to know what your end game is. You have to know why you're doing what you're doing. Is it to build generational wealth? Is it to build a legacy, right? Or is it to take you out of debt? Or is it to take you to something greater? You have to sit and you have to say to yourself, I'm tired of doing what I'm doing. I need to do something different. And how am I going to get there? And that's what you're going to need to do, right? It might be hard sometimes to get rid of, family members or friends or people that you associated with for so long because they've been a part of your life, they've been a part of your circle, but they're not doing you any good because all they're doing is bringing you down. And you don't need anybody around you who's going to bring you down because that's just another distraction, right? So sometimes what happens is that when distractions come, people start to come, right? You ever heard that saying that sometimes people are in your life for a season? If you know that there are people in your life for a season, put season down below, right? If you're watching this. And tell me what season they're meant to be. Are they meant to be for fall, summer, spring, winter, or for a lifetime, right? Because there's some people who are meant to be in your life forever. Then there's some people who are only meant to be in your life for a season, right? Because there's a lesson that needs to be learned within that season. And that's how you have to look at a distraction, a negative one at that. A negative distraction is pretty much a distraction because you need to learn something from it. And if you're not learning anything from it, it wasn't a distraction. Because what's going to happen is that same distraction is going to come around again. And when it comes around again, it's going to be a bigger distraction than it was the first time. So that's why you have to be very vigilant and pay attention to the stuff that's around you, people, places, and things. It's okay to move things around. It's okay to move people around. It's okay to get your peace, right? A lot of times we deal with so much and we have so much on our plate that we're afraid to say this person doesn't need to be there or that person doesn't need to be there. Oh, they kind of balance us out and they don't, right? And everybody a lot of times might say, oh, well, I need peace and I just want peace and I'm going to deal with this. But what about you, right? What about your emotional well-being? What about your health? What about, your feelings that you have? What does that do to you? How does that affect you and affect your circle around you? If you're not any good to yourself, how are you going to be good to anyone else, right? And with the negative distractions that arise from negative Nancy's, Debbie Downers, or just like the places that you're in, right? You could be in a really dark space, you know, where not liking where you are, within your home, not, just your atmosphere, right? You might want to be somewhere and know, like, okay, I'm not there yet. Like, maybe you can't afford it, or maybe it's you don't want to relocate, or maybe it's just scary to you. And that's okay because that happens. But my question to you would be, when are you going to say to yourself, I need to just do it? Take that leap of faith and see what happens. Because it might not be as bad as we think. Because a lot of times, because we have all these distractions, we think that it's bad. We think that, okay, I can't move. I can't do this. I can't do that. And your business is going to stay stuck. Your dreams are going to stay stuck. Your ideas are going to stay stuck. But guess what? You're going to stay stuck. And I know that you don't want to stay stuck, right? Especially if you have kids. You definitely don't want to see your kids see you in the same place you were a couple months ago. Matter of fact, yesterday, right? Because kids watch, kids see. People watch, people see, right? So you have to say to yourself, what do I need to do to move the needle within me? But also, what do I need to do to move the needle and what it is that I have to do? And I'm here to tell you that, listen, get rid of negative distractions because the negative distractions are going to be your downfall. It's time for you to up level. It's time for you to get out of the negativity, right? Turn the negative into a positive, really, right? Anything negative come your way, turn it into a positive. Watch and see what happens. Positive thoughts, positive feelings, positive self-talk, and positivity will happen. But if you stay in that negative mindset, negative will happen, and negative things, people will start to come and follow you. And then you're still wondering years later, months later, why you're in the same place. Just look around you. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take another break, and then we're gonna come back, and we're gonna talk more about why kiss balance goodbye this new year. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. If you're just tuning in, just say I'm just tuning in. If you're not, guess what? We're going to continue talking about why I kiss balance goodbye in the new year, right? We've been talking about making sure that you have a plan. We also been talking about getting rid of the negative distractions. And now we're really going to talk about stop second guessing yourself, what you know is already right, right? A lot of times what we do is we second guess our dreams, our desires, our hopes, right? A lot of times we downplay our feelings and our emotions about things, right? And we second guess it. Just like when you used to be in school, right? Taking a test and you knew the answer was, for example, A, but you went and you put B because you second guessed it. Then when you got your test back, the answer was wrong. Instead of you following your gut, your intuition, the first time you would have had the answer correct, you changed it. And that's what we do sometimes in life, right? We have an idea, we have a dream, we want to do things, but we second guess it. Why? Because of sometimes what society has told us or what people have told us, or because of the stigmas that are out there. Not saying to ourselves, right? Let me stop second guessing myself. Let me just put myself out there. Let me just do it and see what happens, right? Because that's when you start to see that chain of command. That's when you start to see things shift and move and shake and rattle, right? When you start to say, okay, I'm gonna put myself first. I'm gonna stop second guessing everything around me and in my life, right? And sometimes I go for people. There may be people that are around you that are good for you, right? That you can partner with, collaborate with, right? You can build with. But because you're second guessing their character or their integrity, it's like you're putting yourself up against the wall because they want to get in to help you move the needle, but you won't allow them because you're second guessing yourself, right? Maybe that's because you could have been hurt before, right? Or maybe that's because, you had a rough past or you had people in your life who have really shook you the wrong way, right? So really, they took in all your trust. They've made you more guarded, right? And sometimes that's okay being guarded. You got to be guarded when you got to protect yours, right? But sometimes it's okay to let that guard down when you're out there building, right? Because you're going to meet so many people along the way. Like I said, there are going to be some people who mean you good, some people who don't mean you any good, right? And there's going to be a group of people who are like-minded like you. There's also going to be a group of people who at the end of the day want to support you, right? So I'm going to extend to you an open invitation to join my text community where they're like-minded women or like-minded individuals who at the end of the day, guess what? They know what it's like to be busy. They know what it's like to be burned out, overwhelmed, right? And they want to take their business to the next level, or they want to take their entrepreneurial journey to the next level. But they just need that extra push, right? Or they might need that support. And there's nothing like having a community where you're supported. But not only supported, where you're held accountable. Because a lot of times that's the problem. We're not held accountable for our actions. When you're not held accountable, you start to do them over and over again, and you think that they're okay because you've never been held accountable for them. I'm here to tell you like that stops today because we're going to hold you accountable for everything that it is that you need to be held accountable for. And sometimes, you know what? We need that extra accountability in our lives because it helps us to stop second guessing ourselves. When we have that support and we have that system behind us that says, listen, go ahead, go get it. You're good, right? You're in a great space, you're able to do the things that you want to do and just trust yourself. Because when you lack that trust, you lack that sense of belonging, or you lack that sense of know how, guess what? You start to second guessing yourself. And you start to feel like everything you learned, everything you know means nothing, right? All the years of your education, all the years of your expertise, all the years of your skills mean something. And guess why? It's because it's yours. Can't nobody take that from you. That's like, it's your own intellectual property, right? Because it's your process that you went through, your journey that you went through. But just remember, you're not alone, right? There's somebody out there who is like you, or who was like you, who is trying to get out of that same position. But they can't because they don't know how. But you might know how because you've been there and you've gone through that. But you're not telling people, you're not sharing with people, right? Because you're second guessing yourself. Stop second guessing yourself. Because when you feel like you can't do something, that's when you get paralyzed, right? Why? When there are people out there who need you. Do you have to be perfect? Absolutely not. Because nobody is perfect. Nothing's perfect, right? As you can see. But it's the fact of, I'm not second guessing myself anymore. I'm just going to show up and just do it. And you got to say, who's meant for you is meant for you. Who's not meant for you is not meant for you. Because the reality of it is this: when you get to the point in your life where you just like, listen, I'm going to do this regardless, and I'm going to stand on it. It doesn't matter how long it takes. I'm going to get there, right? When you look at the industry now, right? When you look at TV, right? You see a lot of these commercials, a lot of these individuals that you may never have seen before. Do you think they all started overnight? No. It took years of learning, practicing their craft. Do you think they second guessed themselves? Probably, maybe. But guess what they did? They kept pushing, kept fighting. And that's what you need to do. Kept pushing, kept fighting, right? And that's why when you're in a community with other people, you can put those mental blocks in there because there's somebody in there who, guess what, is probably like you, who feels the same way, the same way. And if you're somebody who feels like, guess what, I second guess myself all the time, I want you to put the word second guess in the chat, right? Because today is the day that stops. You no longer have to second guess anything. You no longer have to position yourself or move yourself in the position where, guess what? You can't be that successful business owner, or you can't be that great parent, or you can't be in alignment with your dreams. I'm here to tell you, entrepreneurship is not easy by no means. So if anybody tells you it is, they're lying. Does it take a lot of grit, a lot of determination? Yes, it does. It does. But it also takes a community who's supportive, right? And who's non-judgmental. And that's where it starts, being non-judgmental. There's no judgment here at all. Because who am I to judge anyone? Who are you to judge anybody? Because we're all human. Things happen, right? That's why it's great to have a plan. Make sure you have a solid plan, right? But also, outside of having a solid plan, make sure you get rid of all of the negative distractions, and also stop guessing what you know is already right. And the reality of it is, guess what? Whether you're a parent, whether you lost the business, whether you gained the business, right? Whatever it is, or whether you're trying to figure out how to balance work and life and just being human, the reality of it is, and I'm going to say this again, is that distractions are just distractions. They don't have to make you, they don't have to break you, but also you don't have to have balance. Because sometimes when you have balance, sometimes it's like everything is going so easy and you become comfortable. When you become comfortable, that's a problem. You should never feel comfortable in this entrepreneurship world. Because why? Because it doesn't allow you to grow. When you're uncomfortable, guess what? you start to grow, you start to do things out of your comfort zone, and you start to help people, build people, and you start to just do what you love to do, and it comes easy and natural for you. And that's where you want to be. You want to be in a place in life where you're balancing work, you're balancing life, you're balancing being a mom, a dad, a parent, a business owner, whatever it is, but you're living life on your terms. And that's what it's about. So I kiss balance goodbye in the new year. You should kiss balance goodbye as well, because you don't need balance. All you need is just having that determination, that will, right? And that supportive community. So if that's you, please text the word community, right? Or put community in the chat, right? Because we want you to be a part of a community that's supportive, that's not about, oh, you have to be perfect, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. No, do it on your terms with respect and dignity. And that's what matters. So I want to say to everyone that's tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you guys next week. And just remember, kiss balance goodbye in the new year.